grab me a beer and grab him a coke. We about to sit for an hour, bullshit and tell jokes. And please don't mix it up, cause he done sobered up. Brandon T Comedy on your social media feeds. And Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy. Brandon Taz if it's your ex drinking buddy.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of Brennan Tassif is your ex-drinking buddy. I'm your host, Brennan Tassif. Format of the show, if you're new to the show, I'm sober now, but I used to drink a lot and hang out with my friends and talk shit and tell stories and do all sorts of crazy things. Now that I'm sober, I like to reminisce on those things and have people on that have some crazy drinking stories or getting in trouble stories, getting arrested stories. Sometimes I'll do it by myself, but I normally will have a guest, and today is no different. I am joined by musician and record shop owner, Matt Anderson. What's up, man?
How's it going?
It's going good.
Good.
Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking the way you worded the intro. Sometimes you do it by yourself, and this time is no exception.
Did I say that? I said
so.
no. Sometimes I do it by myself, or sometimes I have a guest. This time is no exception.
To which one?
To the guest.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I should have followed that. Yeah, and oddly enough, I've never actually had a drink with you.
No, that is true. We do share a lot of stories we both work together at our night job, and we do share a lot of stories there, and you have quite a few fun stories.
What's that thing I could tell when I've been into work and, I'm coming in pretty hot? I can tell that you're looking kind of like when you look at someone and you think, man, I kind of enviously, you're just like, yeah, I know where you're at. It's like, yeah, I know, the move. Yeah. Like we talked about the tight 45. We worked a event together and they had a speech. I said, man, we got like a 45-minute window here. Now would be a perfect time. Slide down to Sherwood's. It'll take in and out in 45 minutes, guaranteed.
Well, yeah, because the lady was like, do not come in. Don't disturb us for any reason. I don't care if people need refills or whatever. Like, drop off the salads, and then you leave for 45 minutes to an hour. And we literally looked at each other, and I was like, yeah, we could make this happen, because Sherwood's is a bar that's right down the street.
From where we work.
Oh, man, that's what I used to do. I used to do that all the time. We used to have, like, work meetings, Well, you know this because, I think you guys still do it. You go in at 2, do the meeting, but you're not supposed to be there till 5:30, so you just shuffle off for a few hours.
Yeah, and it's it's almost I've talked to people work in industry forever, and they'll be like, you either, if you get a break like that, or it would be a holiday, let's say if I was working somewhere, we were working a double, you'd go to a meeting, or we go to a wine tasting, or, do a wine education class. And then you think half the people either didn't go to bed last night and they're going to take a nap, or the other half are like, well, what else are we going to go do?
We've already started.
Yeah, and it's that thing of, I've worked with many managers and other people where they're like, are you good? You need like a little coffee. Can you maintain? You're like, I'm pretty good, just kind of settle in. So not that it's
just kind of settle in.
Well, it's not, I think there's a level of tolerance that comes with service industry stuff where, more than, I guess, any other job, it just, sometimes I just think, you know what, I can go in there and, I've been drinking for like 3-4 hours. I'm going there. I'll be fine.
Well, yeah, it's the thing where, because I used to be.
You feel like you're constitute. We've had this discussion.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, I've been drinking. It's like, I'm fucking driving home.
Yeah.
You kidding me?
Like, yeah, what?
No, I'm going to bed in my house.
Yeah.
In my bed.
This is not, you're not keeping me here.
No. It's 2:30. They got roadblock. They're like, there's a roadblock on whatever road.
I'll take a different road.
Yeah. Like 100% gonna just go for it. And
well, because we've I know working in the service industry is weird, and I know it's with comedy, and you own your own record shop. I almost forgot to plug that. We are recording this at your record store, Eraser Records, here in Jacksonville, Florida. What part of town is this considered?
We're on Edgewood, so this is firmly in Murray Hill.
Murray Hill. So we are in Murray Hill in Northeast Florida, right outside Jacksonville proper, pretty much right near downtown.
Yeah, essentially. We're not quite, I don't think, the west side, but it's still cheap over here. And apparently there was a lot of Christian families lived over here in the 40s and 50s.
I really didn't.
Yeah,
I saw that going a different way when you're like, yeah, it's cheap real estate.
There were a lot of sex dungeons here in the 40s, so it was really cheap. But no, people will randomly come in and they'll tell me, hey, you know, this used to all be small families, and this, I don't think it's kind of in vogue now, but it's just so cheap where we're at, which, you know, it's a relatively cheap city. But yeah, in terms of downtown and Riverside is a mile, you know, east of us, and it's 3 times what we'd pay here. So it's kind of one of the, so it's one of those things. We've had comedy shows here, we've had poetry shows, we've had bands play, and like no one bothers us. We're in a strip mall kind of thing. We're in between 2 churches, and one of the churches really likes us, and one of the churches does not really like us. But it's not it. I've never provoked them. I've waved to them a couple times.
Yeah,
but you would think we were selling pornography and gleefully putting the posters up on the windows so that everyone could see it, because they look in and they're vinyl records and there's books on AC/DC, Led Zeppelin. I mean, I don't know. The looks are quite odd for someone who's a self-professed them saying that they're children of God and how great their life is. You think, man, you need a drink or something? Are you okay? Because the lady next to me will be yelling, and those are paper thin walls.
Yeah,
and she's up there just screaming at him. I feel like I'm getting preached to, but I just turn up the music really loud, some black metal or something. And
yeah, there you go.
When they leave, it's like, all right, see ya. It's been fun, but. I mean, maybe they can tell. Maybe as soon as they look in, they think,
they just feel it.
They're like, yeah, I can see it. And then sometimes I'll just be drinking Miller Lights on the counter out front. I mean, I don't really hide it.
Yeah, I mean, it's your store.
Yeah,
you and Lauren, it's your guys' place. Like,
yeah, and I almost enjoy getting drunk to go work at my other job than I do here. I'll have a few drinks here.
Yeah,
but I kind of prescribe to I'd rather just be drunk at work, or I don't know. There's just more. Maybe there's a little more edge, or it's a little more dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, but it's also kind of the challenge of it. You know, if I can maintain, not that I'm necessarily drinking through every shift, but
full disclosure, I don't want people to think that you're coming in wasted every day. It's
no, not every day. But I mean, it is December while we're recording this, and people get a little rosy cheeked, cheery eyed. They're like, "Hey, how's it going?" And sometimes, to sell a nice bottle of wine, you need to have a little wine in your system.
Yeah, for sure.
I believe that.
Well, there are a lot of tables that if they order a nice bottle of wine, they're like, "Hey, have a glass with us."
Yeah, and
that's super awkward for me because I'm always like, "No, I'm okay," and they're like, "No, we insist."
Sure.
And then I always, make the hacky joke like, "Oh, my sponsor would really, really disapprove of that."
Yeah,
and then they get uncomfortable and awkward and like clam up.
Yeah, but some people are just terrible to be around anyway, and if you like, even if you told them, hey, I can't drink, let's say if it was someone we work with like Amy, and you're like, no, I'm pregnant, they'd be like, oh, really?
Yeah,
you can't have
one glass of wine,
right? I mean, yeah, it's great, but it's fermented grapes. I mean, it's not gonna change my life. I mean, it's fine, but I'll take 3 bottles or 3 gallons of Woodbridge Merlot that cost $8 a bottle.
Yeah.
And go home and drink that. And
in one sitting.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man.
Cuz it's nice to have nice things, but that's more of a it's like, how much can my constitution hold?
Yeah. Well, and how good is it really? Like,
yeah, I mean, some of them are pretty great, but I don't know. On a different note, though, you're familiar with the non-alcoholic booze? So there's a bar in Riverside that it's a totally non-alcoholic bar, but they do mixed drinks, mezcal and all that stuff. And one of the tags on one of the bottles was, oh, if you have something to do the next day, or you're pregnant, or you're just trying to take it easy tonight. And no offense, but I feel if I was anywhere and I saw a lady who was clearly pregnant and it looked like a cocktail, I would have to go up and say, hey, look.
Really?
I just feel this, this kind of, makes me uncomfortable or whatever. And then if they're like, oh, no, it's a non-alcoholic mezcal, I would take that. If it was an asshole thing, or I got kind of, because I would not go I would go with a friend to a sober bar, but I wouldn't be sober.
Yeah.
but I would want to go just to
See what's going on.
Right. If you're the opposite of the one time, like if you go into a bar and everybody's hammered and you're totally sober, just the exact opposite.
It's so fun.
Well, yeah, it can't, people don't realize how drunk they're. We talk about how many times like interaction with law enforcement, and you're like, all right, here we go. They pull you over. You sit up. You're like, all right, got all my stuff. Here we go. You've been drinking. You're like, oh, no, not today.
Not today.
Not today. Like, you sure? It's 3:30 in the morning. Like, oh, no. I mean, yeah. I mean, it was a holiday party. I had a couple drinks, yada yada yada. But yeah, I lost my train on that one.
We were talking about the sober bar.
Oh yeah, but the idea of going to it completely hammered, and the exact opposite. It feels like a setup for a skit or something where you're just like, all right, I'm going to go in here.
Yeah.
Just guns a-blazing. But
just guns a-blazing.
And you just keep ordering drinks from them, too. Like, this is a non-alcoholic bar, though. It's like, dude, don't tell me how to drink, all right? Don't, listen. I didn't know you had to be sober to walk in here. I thought maybe.
I thought it was a bar.
It's a $14 non-alcoholic soda water. If I want to give you $14 for it,
give me the drink.
Exactly. I mean, the same thing if someone wants to buy a $400 bottle of wine. I mean, okay.
Yeah. I mean, we do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say no.
I'm gonna look at you kind of weird, but I'm not gonna say no.
Yeah. And I mean, I love drinking wine. So if they offer it to me, I'm definitely gonna try some. But yeah. I mean, it's not something where that changed my life as much as just I don't know. I mean, it's nice to try nice things and like even nice food, but I don't know. I guess I've never like craved those kind of things. It's like, nah.
Yeah, and it's weird too because we work in a really nice place, as far as restaurant standards in Jacksonville. And there's a lot of smaller privately owned restaurants that we frequent around town between, BB's and Orsay and all that kind of stuff. Check those places out if you're ever in Jacksonville. And, but like you said, like I don't crave it. Like I don't have to, but I think because we're around it so much, it doesn't seem that unrealistic to us, if that makes sense. Like it doesn't seem like that much of a special occasion because we're there every fucking day.
If I were to go have dinner with you, it's like, let's go on a Monday when it's not busy.
Yeah.
And we've gone to, Waffle House or somewhere, and it's like, I don't know. I guess it's just, it's not that precious. And even the idea of going to have, an anniversary dinner or a birthday dinner.
Yeah.
I just think we could just get some steaks and, a 30-pack of Miller Lite.
And just do it at home.
Instead of one bottle of, some Chateau Margaux that's going to be $80 for the bottle. It's like, well, yeah, for, what is it, $19.26, I can get a 30-pack of Miller Lite from right down the road.
Boom.
I'd rather do that.
You got that number on hand.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what it used to be. I think they charge differently. There's a drive-thru near my house. I think they charge a little bit more at the drive-thru.
I noticed that when
but I feel like I need to tip them. That's where I feel differently being serviced. Like when they go through, I feel like, well, I need to throw them like $2-3.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because they're doing the work. They're going around the store getting your stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sitting in the car and, hey, do you mind getting me some Miller Lite? I mean, I know I could walk in here, but I do like the idea of driving up. It is, but I think they charge more because it's $16, I think, for like a 12-pack. But
yeah,
and I only drink Miller Lite. It's kind of but it's also it's flavorless kind of beer. But
Miller Lite is the beer of Eraser Records. Is that what you're telling us?
Yeah, I have a Miller Lite. What do you call it?
You are wearing a scarf, a Miller Lite scarf, right now.
Well, this is the only one I could find because we don't really have any of the cold weather stuff out. Again, we live in Northeast Florida, but I did find this hoodie, and it is kind of the heat doesn't work in the shop.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, it does stay a little chilly in here, which is nice for most of the year.
Yeah,
but yeah, the 1 month out of the year where it's kind of chilly, I guess I could just drink a little bit more. But
yeah, you got a little space heater. You're doing the thing.
Yeah, no, this is Space Heater and I are really close friends.
Yeah,
we really know each other quite well. So
it just follows you around the shop.
I wish, like a little portable R2D2 heater unit or something.
Well, I've been wanting to have you on the podcast for a variety of reasons. One, you are a musician. You do own your own record shop, which is really cool, especially in before the pandemic. It's a climate of everyone's, a lot of people try to play it safe and just kind of do the thing, but you took a risk. You opened up your own small business, and then the world ended. So
I'll get back to. I was just pouring myself a drink. Yes, it did. Again, it was kind of cheap enough. I've been collecting records for 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
But part of the deal was we were going to do shows, and I met Christina and a handful of other like Jacksonville comics, and doing comedy shows here was great.
Yeah, Christina Shriver. For those of you listening, she's been brought up before on the podcast. We're going to get her on as soon as it is safe for us to be out and about again.
Yeah, which I don't know, they're doing vaccines. I mean, the vice president took a vaccine.
Yeah.
In the arm. Yeah.
Right in the arm. Just took it in the arm.
He's like, hey, Mikey, got a little spike for the arm here, buddy. Come here. He's wearing a short sleeve shirt. I thought he was in Georgia, I think, yesterday. I'm originally from Georgia.
I was in Georgia last night.
Yeah?
Richmond Hill. I had a couple of shows.
Nice.
Yeah, I did a show in Richmond Hill, and then we drove into Savannah and did a show at Totally Awesome Bar, which was fantastic.
Nice. That's the name of it?
Yeah, Totally Awesome Bar, downtown Savannah.
I haven't been to Savannah in years. Savannah's a great little town, though.
Yeah. Well, it was odd because we walked in, and it's in the basement, so you go all the way down, and it was still cold. Even though it was in the basement that he was on, it was still pretty chilly. And it's weird because you look around, and Savannah's a very, I don't know how to...
River City. It's very... Well, it's
very progressive.
Well, yeah, especially for being deep in the Bible Belt. They also, I think they did Forrest Gump there and in the Garden of Good and Evil.
Yeah.
But it has a very classical... The downtown's got some gorgeous Georgian architecture.
It's beautiful. But we go downstairs, and it's kind of like almost like this kind of place. Like it's a smaller place. They've got string lights hanging up, not for Christmas, just that's their style. They've got the Buddhas on the wall, and it's like a very, I don't want to say hipstery, but it's a very
it's
cool.
Pretty bohemian. Yeah, bohemian used to be the word for before hipster.
Okay, so it's very bohemian.
Do you have a definition for hipster though? Because I know there used to be a term to derail you for a second called scenester kids, and that was kids who were in the music scene. But I don't know anything about the comedy scene. I don't know if you have a term for that. But
well, no, when I think of a hipster, I think of someone who goes out of their way to like obscure things that they might not even like, but they do it because they want to be contrarian. Whenever I think of hipster, I think of this joke: how many hipsters does it take to screw in a light bulb? It's a very obscure number. You would have never heard of it.
Right.
That's what I think of when I think of hipster.
Okay, yeah, that works. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I guess so. I guess there's a lot of
That was where you just pulled the mic away and kept talking.
Well, I was scratching my ear. I didn't know if there was gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I was resetting. No, I guess because I like a lot of obscure things, and not purposely, but there are a lot of obscure things that are incredibly interesting or incredibly different, but I don't think they're necessarily better, because a lot of times you can draw it back to they were the bands or the movies or the stand-up comedians or whatever it was that everybody was listening to, and then you can kind of tell where there's a derivative. Yeah. And I think some people take that as a kind of a badge of honor, and they're saying, oh, you don't know who this artist is. Well, it's like, well, yeah, if it's some kid in Missoula, Montana cranking out cassette tape only releases, just because I know about it doesn't make it's not better. It's just, it's very obscure.
Yeah.
And I don't know much. I mean, I know some comedians. I know we'll talk about some at work every now and then, but I don't know dudes that are touring and, but I'm not searching out that media.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing is,
and I wouldn't judge you because you say, oh, you don't fucking know about.
Well, that's exactly the thing.
I mean?
And so, like, I'm not judgmental at all when it comes to things like that. Like, if someone names an obscure movie or something like that, the thing that bothers me is when the only thing that you like, or you judge other people for liking mainstream stuff.
Right.
That's what bothers. It's like, yeah, I like Star Wars. I really like, and it's like, oh, of course you do. And it's like, well, first of all, like, I talk about it on stage why I like it so much. It's the greatest love story ever told. He murdered children to try to save the love of his life. Which, would you ever murder children to try and save someone you love? Like,
only in the Bible can you get away with murder. Apparently in Star Wars too, you can murder children.
But that's like, so I really enjoy that aspect of it. But then, like, you get around certain people, especially in the comedy scene. I'm sure it's the same in the music scene here in Jacksonville, where they're like, oh, that's so mainstream. Like, that's so, and you get kind of frustrated because, like, you and I have had these conversations, like, getting ready for work and even at work and stuff about, like, musicians. And I brought this up on the last podcast. So I had Craig Coleman on, who's from the band Liquid Band-Aid. And he was talking about...
That's a good band name.
Yeah, but it's ADE, Aid, Band-Aid, ADE. But...
like Gatorade?
Yeah. But I've got all the links to all their music and stuff. You can check them out at liquidbandaid.com. It's all free. But we were talking about music, and I told him I was going to have you on the podcast, and we were talking about just like the guy you were telling me about in New York, who was like a night security guard, released an album like once a decade, but you really enjoy his work.
Sure.
And like, I'm not like, oh God, Matt's such a hipster for liking him. But like in my head, it's like, those people. Just like I know comics that nobody knows. I also know comics that have sold out Madison Square Garden like 10 days in a row, and still people haven't heard of them. But like, I also know very obscure comics that I love that like people don't know of because they're not like, what do they call that? They're not household names.
Yeah, and so I guess the thing of like there would be times where, because it's been on Comedy Central, like Chappelle Show or Key and Peele or Nathan For You, I think those things are funny, and I do like Tim Heidecker, but I know that he purposely isn't kind of a traditional stand up. I mean, he does stand up, but to me, it's not. I'm trying to think of a stand up comedian that like Tim Heidecker kind of purposely messes with the form of doing stand up, and he's going for like a smaller audience that would be more into something that would be more not
Dimitri Martin.
Yeah, and even
Zach Galifianakis.
Yeah, and they're funny, but I could see people who would watch. We could talk about Chappelle Show, and they're like, those guys are kind of weird. I don't think they're kind of weird in the slightest bit. I could see how it's just a different texture or temperature, but it's also I don't know how other people think about their process of getting to being on stage, in the sense of I've done a few stand-up things, and I was wasted for all of them.
Yeah.
but we've had this discussion where just because I'm wasted, you think, oh, I'm gonna get up there, I could do this like this.
Yeah.
But it's not as easy. But it's also when you hear a really great song that seems effortless, or so same thing back to something big. I think the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, the Sergio Leone, the spaghetti westerns, I think they're fantastic. I think there's things that have come after that are interesting because they took a cool riff on something or they did something. But there's no way to dismiss, like when I saw the first 4, 5, and 6 episodes of Star Wars, I didn't say, you know what, I'm out. Fuck this.
Yeah.
Just, you know what, bye. My brother and I watched them over and over. Like, dude, you do have a sword that can cut through
anything.
Fucking anything. Your dad you don't really have a great relationship with your dad, which, love my dad. I had a weird dream about my dad, which is neither here nor there. But you that concept that because you've heard of it, it can't be good.
It loses its value because it's popular.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. I feel as though I don't want to unpack it with those people and say, hey, this is why you should check. And like I said, owning a store and trying to convince people of like, hey, these are records you probably haven't heard of. I kind of want to celebrate it more than demean it. But it's the same thing. Every show we've done here with comedians, it's this like mostly local people. We've had a few touring people, but it's great because there's so many concepts where you're like, hey, the premise I've heard of before. You don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids. But kind of the way you get to the end of it, you're like, oh, that's great.
Well, yeah, it's a different. There's so many premises that multiple people do, because there's a lot of stuff that is obvious. Going to the gym, car repair. Back in the 80s, it was airplane food and traveling and stuff like that. And I was talking to Savannah about this actually yesterday, where it's like we can have the same premise. That's fine, because obviously we're all thinking, we all kind of track along that same line, but it's how you deliver it and like your construction of the joke. That is what, like you said, that then you're like, oh, that was good.
There's a phrase called kryptonesia, and it
Go ahead.
No, go Google it, please.
I can't. I don't have internet access right now.
You don't? We have Wi-Fi here. No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Just,
Kryptonesia?
But anyway, kryptonesia. So the idea is that you would have an equal thought as someone else. So you could say, it would be the same thought, and it would be maybe even the same joke. And I thought that there was, I think the last time I read it, it was in reference to maybe there was like a Louis C.K. joke, and somebody else it was almost the exact same joke. But the idea is like, well, yeah, but if you have a president that gets caught getting a blowjob from someone on his staff, two people would probably kind of come to the same conclusion because they're thinking kind of in that way that, hey, there's something funny in here. And we've talked about this. There's bits, things that you've had where you don't know where the funny is. It's the same thing if I'm starting a song or I write like poetry, I may not have exactly how it's going to go and how it's going to end, but I think, well, let me spend some time with it. Let me see.
Yeah,
sometimes
work it
you
out.
need to marinate. But yeah, I don't know. Like I'm people that are really fucking miserable about things. I just can't be bothered.
Yeah, I can't.
Just on a regular basis. Like if you
we talk about this at work too.
Yeah, and if you were the funniest fucking dude that I ever met, I'd be like, yeah, he's great, but god damn it, every time he walks up, it's just like, oh my god. Like, but it gets to be just such a labor to even deal with them. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, they can be funny, and I'll listen to your stand-up. Dude, if you get a Comedy Central, absolutely. But I wouldn't want to go out and have a drink with you. Well,
are you talking about me personally?
Well, yeah, not you personally, obviously, because you're not going to go out and have a drink.
No, it's just the way you kept saying you, and then you were looking right at me because we're doing the show, and
because there's only two people in the room talking.
I was like, wait, what are you trying to say?
With any yous out there that are listening to this. Did you know in the Constitution they spelled choose CHUSE? I don't know why I found that so odd. Like choose, like was that the way to use the word choose?
I guess that's the old English version of it.
I mean, I don't know. That's you can cut this whole part out, by the way.
No, this all stays in there. No edit points. But you bring up a good point, and that's something that's interesting to me because we talk about that with tables sometimes at work, where it's like I get very flustered and I get kind of like pissy about things, and then you're like,
yes,
you're like,
you have a very strong energy.
You're like, dude, like. There's nothing we can do, like, especially when we have like a party together or something. If one little thing goes wrong, I like snap, and you're like, there's not like, what do you want to do? Like, there's nothing to do.
But full disclosure, if anybody's listening to this later on, he does a great job. But when he comes in hot, you think, oh, okay, whoa, is the table on fire? Like it did because Brennan's not the smallest guy in the world. Like I'm thinking, well, just don't swing on anybody. Just make sure that everything goes okay. But yeah, I don't know how to walk someone off the edge.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because like I've been like what the fuck? Like we were supposed to have these desserts in, and now they're waiting. And you go, yeah, man, it's okay. The desserts will get to the table, and it's that same kind of thing where like we'll have guests sometimes that are very picky, and I've told you, I've been like, I don't know what we're gonna do. You're like, we're just gonna tell them we can't do it. Like, and if they don't like it, they can leave. And I'm like, oh yeah, I mean, I guess we can do it. But those are the kind of people that you're talking about, like that are just miserable all the time, and you're just like, yeah. Like, you don't have to
even
be
if you told the funniest joke, and let's say they were at your show, right? And you tell the funniest joke, and it's set up, everything is perfect, and they don't laugh. And in a moment, you could look at them, because I've looked at people when I've been singing before, and you kind of make eye contact, and it's this weird kind of 1,000, 2,000, and if there's dead silence, so if there's dead silence in a stand-up thing, it's silent.
Yeah, it's deafening.
It's 1 minute, 2 minute. There's no band, there's no distortion, all that kind of stuff. And I almost feel like that's more. You can do that with a table that's really bad and just say, hey, look, I heard what you said, and I want to empathize with you. But I need you to know that I'm not gonna. It's been a long 3 days for me, and me and my girlfriend are fighting, and there's a fucking pandemic. And I get it. You're like, I'm kind of over this pandemic. You're like, because I wanted it.
Yeah,
I wanted it to be just pear-shaped all year.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Or when tables are like, oh, you're out of this, or you're not carrying this anymore, don't say it's because of coronavirus. It's like, well, yeah. Like, we're not ordering certain things because we cannot sell them.
If I use that excuse in 2 years, then maybe. But in that moment, that's not the place for me to be like, you know what? You ever seen the movie 300?
Yeah.
Because I'm going to strip down to my underwear, and I'm going to scream at you. And I'm going to say, you know what? This is it.
This is Sparta.
This is where we all die. And
tonight we dine in hell.
Yeah, and you may not die tonight. But I guarantee I'm going to get fired and might get drowned in that river out there because the currents apparently are terrible. But in that moment, you think, is it? I'm not a surgeon. You're not going to wake up and be like, oh, so, Mr. Tassett, I know that it was your knees were hurting, so you don't have arms anymore, and I need you to know, like, I rang it in fine. I did everything I could possibly do, but you're gonna feel them, but they won't be there anymore. But we're gonna get those knees sorted out in about 2 weeks. In that case, yes, you could be livid with me, you could sue me, you could do whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like, ma'am, your steak was slightly undercooked. You could either pump the brakes or, you know what? Go for it. You want to yell at somebody? Okay, go ahead. Do you want to see how much I don't care that you are that upset about it, or it doesn't matter to me? Because I'd love to show you.
Yeah.
I know I came in here all nice and asked you if you wanted water and bread and then food.
But we can turn this around.
Oh, we can turn this around. I can live off not very much money for a while. I'll find another job.
Yeah. I'm pretty good at this. I'll
and
find
God forbid.
job.
And so some of the people that come in there, I used to wait on at the other place I worked at here in town. And it's one of those things where it's like, oh, wait, you don't know who I am.
Yeah, they don't remember you. Yeah.
Ooh. Okay. Maybe it takes 38 minutes to get your dinner now.
Yeah.
And it's taken a while. It's like, oh, I'm so sorry. You know how it's a little busy. I know there's no one in here. And
I hit them with the to-goes. To-goes are crazy.
It's, oh my God. There's so many people that want to take their food with them. I'm at egg on my face. I am so upset about this as well. And then when they tip you really well, you're like, oh my God, thank you. It's been a pleasure. Good night. But it's such a petty thing to do. But it's also the same. But I would never, if you're changing my tires, if you're doing that level of just, you're not human anymore because I'm taking your food order. Yeah. I don't know. Like that side of it's almost not unforgivable. I mean, but it's just, you think, Jesus Christ, I can see why, anybody would want to get out of service industry.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and it's one of those things too, where it's weird because it's like, I'm a person. Like I have hopes and dreams, and I do this job like while I'm chasing my dream, and like you do the service thing because it helps support your shop that you're a small business owner. And when people talk to you like you're nobody, it's like, yeah, I understand the situation. Like I'm in a restaurant right now taking your order, but like, especially with like you and I, more so me because I run a little hotter than you do, but like I'm a big dude. Like, you're really gonna talk to me like this? Like,
we've had this.
The only thing separating me from destroying you right now is the fact that I don't want to go back to jail. Like, and I could lose my job. But like, do you think I care? Like, if you look at my resume, I could get hired anywhere. Like, I have a good resume. Like, you think I care that much about this job?
Right. Especially if you move from Florida to New York State. I mean, you think anybody's gonna know?
Yeah, they're not going to fucking call like that. Like, even if they do call, it'll be like, yeah, he's really good at it. He just snapped one night. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, and it blows my mind. I know we've talked about this, but I want to talk about this on mic. It blows my mind, the fact that people are just kind of like, yeah, we can talk to you like that. Like, we can do this because you're our waiter. You're our server. You're our guy. Like, we'll talk to you however we want to. And it's like, I've been to jail for way less things than this. Like, you're going to talk down to me, tell me basically like I'm a piece of shit with your tone. Like, I'm like, oh, and it's mind blowing to me how people think that's okay. Like, there's no consequences to that. That's where I came up with that whole consequences bit about like having consequences for little things. It's like, you can't just talk to people like we've seen it where servers have started to cry because of the way tables have talked to them. And it's like, that's not. Like, yeah, they might be a little dramatic, but that's not okay. Like, that's not human.
No, and there's people that will, for way less, snap.
Oh!
And they're like, you think I want this job that bad?
Yeah.
And like, they'll throw shit at somebody, and they're like, I can't, where's your manager? And they're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
You think, what are they going to do to me?
Yeah, fire me? I quit when I did that.
Yeah.
Well, and it's like, there's a very hilarious comedian. You've seen him before, because I think he's performed here in Jacksonville, Will Blaylock. And I'm not going to burn his bit, but he talks about that too. Like, the way you're going to talk to somebody in customer service, like, especially at specific places, it's like, do you know how much they make? Like, it's not enough to stop them from like doing something.
Your gauge of how much you think they won't do or how much they care is way off.
Way off.
And that's fine. But I don't know. I've seen some small dudes like rock a big dude, knock him out. But generally speaking, it's like, do you really want to like piss off a guy that big? And some people just don't give a shit. They don't.
I think some people
don't have a concept of it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Is I think some people just don't understand it. Like they think like I'm a boss. Like at wherever I work, because we work in a nicer place, so it's normally like upper level people who come in there.
Generally, like punches don't get thrown.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's strong words exchanged, maybe a harsh email here or there, but the way they talk to people, it's like, this is how I've always talked to people. This is how I talk to people in high school. This is how I talk to people through college. This is how I talk to people through law school. And now this is how I talk to my subordinates. And this is just how I talk to people. And it's like, well, I'm from the real world, where if you talk to somebody like that, they'll end you. Like,
there's a lot of people that they don't have the same tolerance you do. To say that they don't care is a understatement.
Yeah.
It's not that they don't care. Some people, they welcome it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You want to say that?
Please give me a reason.
Right. And it's, more power to them.
Those people are crazy. They give me a reason, people.
Right. But it's also, it's not tattooed on their forehead.
Yeah.
And it's not, what was that? Is it Black Mirror? Where it's like a futuristic thing where it's like, hey, you have a digital readout where you're like, hey, this guy, he murdered somebody or he stole $1,000. You don't have that.
No.
But you might just have. So I've been drunk before, and and I was at a bar, and a friend of mine he was a smaller guy, and he would always he was great with ladies, and dudes would get pissed at him. So there were several times where I'd say, hey, it's like me and it's like a couple of friends, and it'd always be the same guy, and they'd be picking on him, and it's like, look, man, we're not trying to fight you, but she clearly does not like you.
Yeah.
And that's pretty basic, attraction or whatever. But yeah, it's like I've got hit for stuff that I didn't have any kind of part in. And I'm a pretty reasonable person.
You're very reasonable. You're not like.
But some people, you accidentally or you touch their buddy, they might just decide it's when you're on the ground. It's like, man, like if I kicked him in the jaw like 7 times, that'd feel pretty good for me.
Yeah.
I would. That would actually make my Tuesday night. I would.
Those people exist.
Yeah, and it's comical. It's crazy how precarious some people live their lives and don't think that anything you could ever do would ever matter. And a lot of times it may not. A lot of times you may get away with it.
Yeah, you'll live your whole life and never get punched in the face.
It's like the amount of times I've been drinking and had a car, like a JSO behind me on JTB, or got pulled over, and you just have to wing it. You have to go for it.
You have to. There's no other option at that point.
Right. It's that level of confidence that's not warranted and slightly unbridled. You think, ooh, you know what? You should have gone home a couple times and be like, you know what, babe, I didn't get my ass beat today, and I probably should have.
Yeah.
I recognize that.
Oh, all the time.
But I know there's a lot of people that have no concept that.
It's so bizarre to me. Like when I was living with my old roommate,
you could have woken up in the hospital. Like some people are that they don't give a shit.
Well, and it's weird too because ever since I got my first DUI when I was still drinking, it was one of those things where it was constantly in the back of my head because it was like, oh, you've woken up in jail before now because of this. But before, when I would drink and drive, it's like, oh, I do this all the time. Like nothing bad has ever happened. And then after I got my first DUI, it was very real where it's like, I didn't stop doing it, but it was like, what can happen now. You're very aware of the consequences. And that's why, like, I think everyone at one point in their life, you can tell who's gotten into fights and who's been punched in the face and who hasn't by the way they talk to people, by the way they carry themselves. Because it's like, I understand, like, nothing's ever happened to you and that hooray for you, but you just haven't crossed that person, that one person who's going to teach you. You can't talk to people like that. And it's so bizarre to me because, like, I was living with an old roommate after we had moved out of the halfway house. We got an apartment together. And then shortly after, we relapsed and started drinking and stuff. And I remember one time, because normally we'd be at home, but sometimes we'd have a couple of drinks, go down to the pool or whatever. And I remember one time we were walking by, and our neighbor was like in a fight with his girlfriend, and they were like yelling at each other in the parking lot. Now, they were just yelling back and forth. They were both yelling. And I thought, this is none of my business. I'm just going to go upstairs. Like, if he touches her or something, then I'll intervene. But this is none of my business. I don't know what happened. Like, maybe they're just loud. And my roommate, like, got in the guy's face and, like, started, like, barking at him, which, hooray for him, you know, like, trying to protect her or whatever. But he doesn't understand. Like, I was like, dude, you don't know the situation. And they know where we live. They know what cars we drive. That, like, if you think for a second anything is going wrong. Now, I come from a family of yellers. So to me, I was like, oh, they're just having a conversation.
Right. I have a loud family as well.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's not something where, but yeah, us talking can just, it sounds to someone else that
we're arguing.
Yeah. But we're just, I have a relationship. I know how I talk to that person.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing is, like, so there was nothing going on that I thought warranted getting involved or even calling the police. And I was raised around women and stuff. Like, I've gotten in arguments with my girlfriend before. And I know that, like, if someone were to call the police, it's like, dude, like, we're just having a heated discussion. Like, this was no reason to involve the police about this. So I kind of just kept walking. Like, this is not my business. But he got, like, in the guy's face and, like, wanted to fight him. And he's not, my old roommate's not a big guy. Like, I would have had to step in because he's a little dude, like, not really ever been into a fight, but was just kind of drunk and wanted to get in this guy's face. And I was like, but it's like we're talking about, like, you don't know that person. Like, if he's as on edge as you think he might be, that he might do something to his girlfriend, call the police. Like, why are you getting in his face, especially because he knows where you sleep at night?
Yeah, and also, I guess no one ever thinks about the first time, like, a serial killer kills somebody.
Yeah.
They're like, no, there had to be somebody's first where he thought, you know what? I would never kill anybody. And then one sultry, hot August Jacksonville afternoon by the pool, he's having a discussion with his female because he was going to propose later on that night, and then some dude gets in his face. They're in a stand your ground state in a country that has a Second Amendment that allows you to bear arms. You would think people would take more pause and more.
Oh my God, I say this all the time.
Just as a self-preservation.
Yeah.
Because you know what?
Yes.
If you get that wrong one time,
it's over.
It's jumping out of a plane. It's not karaoke. Bungee jumping. You get it wrong one time. That's it.
You make the wrong assumption about someone once, or you think, and that's what I don't understand is the fact that people don't think things through. Like, I've had, like, and it goes back to not only working in the restaurant industry, but even doing stand-up. Like, people think they're, like, helping the show and they'll, like, shout out and stuff. And you give them, like, all right, man, like, come on, chill out. And they keep doing it. And it's like, there's literally nothing in between us. Like, I'm up here on stage talking about how I've got a scar on my forehead because I was trying to prove a point. So I sliced my own face open. And you're trying to interrupt, like, and you think this is going to end okay? Like, are you not, like, what? I don't understand what goes through or doesn't go through someone's head to where they're like, nah, I'll fuck with this person.
Yeah, I mean, maybe when they saw like Beyond Thunderdome, they're like, you know what? I'd step in there. But that TV screen is a nice repellent. You can say whatever you want to.
Yeah.
It's the keyboard confidence kind of thing. But you think, yeah, but would you though? Because I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I've seen some scary dudes. I've seen some scary chicks too, where I think, ooh, shit, I'm not trying to. But, I also don't pop off to people. I mean, I did when I was way younger. But it's I guess people don't, like, really read, like, national statistics of how much it takes. So with the holiday season upon us, how often people get.
You don't have to get that close.
And you think, I don't know that I would ever shoot somebody that I worked with. Or someone that was in my family. But then again, I'm old enough now. I'm older than you are. I'm aging out of the serial killer bracket, which from high school feels good because I know a lot of people thought, oh, he's kind of a weirdo.
Yeah.
Which in 1999, 2000, weirdo was probably a ringing indictment that I could either be serial killer
or an artist.
Yeah. Yeah. But now at 38, I'm aging out of the serial killer bracket, and I'm just saying the waters are nice and warm on this side.
Yeah.
And I'm humble brag, just need people to know that I feel good about it. And a lot of people look at me, and I would be the guy that they would hire in Hollywood to be the serial killer guy.
Oh, yeah.
Balding, can grow facial hair, but just nondescript enough, but probably weird enough looking. And I don't think I look that weird.
No, I don't think so either. But you just have this kind of like
Central,
hulking, almost like central casting. Like,
but I'm also so
because you're tall too. You're like 6'3".
Yeah, and I'm not afraid to engage with someone and talk about something.
Yeah,
and I see that some people they're not comfortable with that. And when I see someone not engaging or not being comfortable, it's the same thing we're talking about at tables.
Yeah,
when there's some guy, it's always the guy who's not.
It's always the guy.
As he's more conservative, you can just stare at him and they won't look at you. And if you stare at someone for 3-4 seconds at a table, it's like, I guess I'll just give you a few minutes. I think you need a few minutes to kind of decide what kind of steak you want. Like, and they sheepishly look up at you.
Yeah.
And you think, am I that foreboding? And maybe it's the physical presence side of it, but I would never, ordering something from a restaurant, I would never think this guy's going to murder me just because I ordered a New York strip.
Yeah.
But if you're like, slinging arrows that are on fire at him, like I've never gone that hard at someone who was taking care of me. Even at a bar, it's always been some other dude or football player who was livid. It's never been someone actually working.
Yeah, it's never. Well, that's the thing.
You're giving
it's
me
never...
the fucking alcohol, and I'm going to give you money for it.
Yeah,
I understand that, but the concept of being aggressive towards the help or that side of it, I didn't understand before I worked in industry 20 years ago, and I don't understand now.
Yeah, I just don't get it either. I'm the same way where it's kind of like it's just odd to me that's just how some people interact. And the weird thing I think of is like, how have you made it your entire life? And this is how you are. Like you're out in public, like you're doing things in public. Like how do you get dressed in the morning? Like what goes through your head that you don't even like look up at a person and like you, or like the way you interact with them is this? Like how have you made it this far?
Yeah, sometimes it almost seems as though I live on a different planet.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to my tables, and the way that I speak, I'll say, "Hey, do we need some time? Is there anything else to get for you?" And I don't speak Greek.
Yeah.
I think that they think I'm speaking Greek. And I say, "You know what? You take some time." And they say, "No. I say, "Yes. Take some time. You seem flustered or confused. I don't want you to be confused, but confusion doesn't do well for the tip line, generally speaking." But I'm not attacking them, but I'm conscious of that. I don't know. I'm conscious of that when I don't honk at people very much in my car.
Yeah, me neither.
It's just, I get it. People aren't great at driving or whatever, but I don't. Unless I really want to get in a fight, I don't really engage with people in that way because I feel as though it only takes one, and it only takes about 10 seconds for it to really
go sideways.
You're thinking, oh shit, this is maybe we should have gone home.
Yeah, we should have just kept.
We should have kept going. We should have, and that's sober or otherwise, but
yeah.
I don't know that there's ever. I don't think I have the confidence to be a maybe not a world leader, but I don't even think I could be a control a vast area of Eurasia or anything. Yeah. I don't have the edge that I think you need.
Yeah.
But I think those people take that risk, and I think maybe that's where that comes from, is that you have you think, damn, you think if you were, oh no, she was, God told her that she was going to be queen. You're like, okay, well, the gun that I have in my hand says
elsewise.
She may not be for very long. And if she's okay with that, but if there's no consequences for me either, if you could just do that, you're like, yeah, well, I'll be right back. I need you to know that I gave you a chance and that, this is but I don't know. Maybe people should watch Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. Maybe they should have a thorough education of fantasy.
Yeah.
Because some of that shit is not fake.
Yeah.
Not the Lord of the Rings. That's clearly all fake. But the idea, people kill people and people do insane things that I don't know that I would ever be able to understand killing someone, but driving drunk home from the bar, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But
I've done it, yeah.
Murdering somebody, like getting in a fight with somebody, yeah. But I just feel like there is a threshold that just doesn't. It was already there before whatever incident happened. And I don't want to be that trigger for somebody where I initiate that level of it's not insanity. It's I'm also not a doctorate in any kind of like mental therapy kind of things, but those things where you think, hey, this person wasn't well, and you just kind of are the ice cream on their banana split.
Yeah.
Because they're about to just fucking ruin you.
Well, and I've seen that before in jail where I would talk to like cellmates and stuff, and like fights would break out. And it's like, well, why'd you fight that guy? And it's like, I just didn't like the way he looked at me. And like those people exist like that. And those people are in the world as well. Like it's not just, oh, they're confined to a cell. It's like they happen to get caught. But people have that mentality of like, why did you shoot him? I didn't like him. I didn't like the way he looked at me. I didn't like the way he talked to me. Like those people are everywhere. And like you said, like I can't imagine like being that person, like walking up to someone and just not liking the way they look at me. But like that happened last night at the show in Savannah. Like there was a couple guys there and they would not stop talking. Like we had just shown up, and the girl who I guess works there at the Totally Awesome bar, she works there sometimes as a bartender, was trying to enjoy the show and they wouldn't stop talking. So she got up and walked over and was like, hey, like shut the fuck up. Like if you don't want to watch the show, leave. And they started huffing and puffing, and I was like, here we go. Like they're about to fight her. They're about to fight everyone in here. Like you don't like, because I know those people exist.
And it takes barely just a feather's brush to get them there. And they probably wanted to fight anyway before that. But I seeing playing in bands and just having things go just, like I said, completely sideways. I'm not saying this is a scary world to live in because, I mean, at least they can only kill you once, maybe. Yeah. But I don't know, if you play the odds correctly and you don't, I don't know, the shittiness that the capacity for like bullshit that some people have is astounding. Yeah. Where you would say, sure. I don't even know how to talk to you. Yeah. I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want you to come in my shop. I wouldn't want you to come to my show. I wouldn't want you to interact with my life at all. Yeah, there's a very funny comic, Kyle Kinane, and I've talked about this before on this podcast, but he has said that before where he's gotten like DMs or emails from people that claim that they're fans and like rip into him about something, and he goes, I want nothing. I don't know how you found me. I don't know how you discovered my work, but I want nothing to do with you. Don't come to a show. Don't buy my album. Don't just leave. Like, don't listen to my podcast. And I'm 100% for that, because there are people where I'm just like, I don't need you. Like, I don't need all of you. I just need enough of you to fill a room. Like, right. And I know that Eric Andre had something where someone sent him some DM on Instagram, and he said, who do you think reads this? Yeah. And you thought you were attacking someone. He said, I read these. And I 100% agree. I realize that what I do is going to already be kind of niche in nature, but I'm not trying to exclude anybody, but I get, to know your audience is probably to know yourself a good amount. Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, the same thing. You think, well, you know what? If you're that upset about it, like, we don't need you.
Yeah.
If they can make enough money, if they can do all these other things, but also, God forbid that you strike out on your own and try to make something that you wanted to do, like doing this podcast or doing anything that is you are tied to it directly.
Yeah.
And you're
owning the shop.
You can be lambasted. People can pick you apart. And now it's your fault and you have to deal with it. You think, no, like you can, I need you to know that you can just, I'm going to block you and that's it.
You can just leave.
Right.
It's fine.
I guess I'm not happy that you didn't understand, like you weren't happy at the show, but at the end of the day, it wasn't for you anyway.
Yeah. If you missed the mark by that much, then it's okay.
Yeah.
There's no hard feelings.
Right.
Like,
If you're that ready to like spring and go, it clearly was. Sorry that you got upset. And I don't want to upset anybody, and I don't know.
Has that happened to you? Like doing music?
Yeah.
Like playing shows and people coming up to you, like getting super aggressive?
Yeah, and talking to people about what they like, because it can be held as very sacred what you do like, and is it good, and maybe they put their own self-value into how good of a band that they like. I guess I don't take self-worth from the bands I like. I think there's a lot of bands that are very interesting, and they're doing concepts that I think are very interesting, and the way that they do them are really great. But I don't. To me, I'm not here to judge in that way their concept of what art is. I think because unbridled art, I don't know, unbridled art, pushing it and saying whatever you want to say, and you present what you want to present. If you do it in your own sphere and you do it the way that you want to do it, then that's it. As you're writing it, that's the concept. That's the art.
Yeah.
When you're reproducing it on stage, that's just it.
That's the performance. Yeah.
It's over. You're not creating it. You're delivering it.
Yeah.
And there at that point, if you don't like what I do, I'm fine with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I'm fine with you not, but I've seen other people perform and do, shows, and there's nothing that I think is inherently bad, but I would hope that you would take all your influences and try to make it your own. But that may be a pipe dream, because I can't control how they write songs or how they write like I've told you before, I get ideas for bits, but I don't know how to write an actual joke. But I've never tried, and I don't think my strengths lie in writing a joke, but I've heard them, and when I see someone do stand up, I think, "Hey, that's great. That's such a simple concept that they delivered, and that's great." But I can't get to that lily pad. Like I'm not that. I can't jump from lily pad to lily pad and say this is a stand-up joke. Mine are more referential or deal with a certain like setup.
Yeah.
But they're not funny. And so I've listened to your podcast a few times, and there's so many people on your podcast. They're just naturally funny, and in the way that my Twitter is terrible. But there's a lot of people who are on your podcast who are like witty and
quick. Yeah.
Yeah. In that aspect of it, I'm not that. I'm not funny like that. But that belies me. I don't know how people that are very they'll kind of dissect something and they'll say, hey, you know what? Fuck. They'll do all these things, and it's hilarious. But I don't know how to unpack, or I don't know how to do, like, I don't even know if it's like a level of comedy. It's like, it's their natural personality.
Yeah, it's their natural state.
Like, I feel like you tell stories, and I've seen people, like, I would tell stories, but I wouldn't be the guy who just, like, rapid fire would, if somebody was heckling me. We talked about Buck.
Yeah.
I saw him a couple times, and this one guy Rain Dogs was going crazy, and I was like, you know what? Like he just was riding him, and it was hilarious. but just that rapid fire style.
Yeah.
Not that it was a style, but he was just responding. I don't know that I would be as eloquent. I don't know. It was hilarious, but it was one of those things where there's so much of it that can be like responsive.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This isn't terribly funny to listen to, but if you go listen to them live, it was funny when they said it.
Yeah.
I'm just butchering what they said.
Do you have to get that guessed?
I have no idea. Hold on. 10 seconds.
Full disclosure, we are recording this in Eraser Records down here in Murray Hill, and some customers just came in. So Anderson's going to go talk to them, see what's going on.
There's somebody who walked in, they left.
They walked in and then left?
Well, they're standing outside the door.
Maybe didn't like the selection you had? See, this is the fun part because I don't do edit points, so that's all staying.
You don't edit any of it?
No. That's kind of the thing.
Is that part of the thing?
That's part of the appeal, the charm. What are some of the... Give me, like, one of your, like, most fun, crazy band, let's rock and roll rage stories.
So we were in Macon, Georgia.
You already had it ready. I knew you would.
No. We were in Macon, Georgia. We played this show, and it was me and my friend Ian, and it was... we were playing as a two-piece. And it was, like, upstairs in this kind of industrial thing. It was all brick facade. It looked really great. So we were hanging out. We played the show. Everybody leaves. It's 11:30, still pretty early. And he and I were like, fuck it, we're just going to get drunk. So we start breaking windows and like thrashing shit for about a good 30 minutes. It's thrashing shit is much like fighting. After about a minute and a half, you're like, damn, is no one going to... Okay. So it gets just kind of be like kind of sad, you know, like we were spray painting things on the wall.
Yeah.
So we did that for like 30 minutes. And then we realized there's somebody else in the other room.
Oh,
so we walk over and we knock on this door, and this kid opens up. He said, "Hey, what's up? You guys' set was great." Okay, well, I didn't even know you were here. And we go in there, and they're doing some powder. So we're doing some powder with them. They're like, yeah, like we're hanging out all night. So we try our best to not let them like go into the main room. It was just like
destroyed. Yeah.
Yeah, that we threw shit all over, and they seemed very cool with it. But I think we got away with one because we 100% like we're just throwing bricks, and well, not a brick. There was a cement block that was put down in front of the kick drum.
Yeah,
kick drums move a lot. And there was but yeah, it was kind of destroyed, and they were really nice, and we hung out till about like 5 a.m. And then I decided we're going to drive home back to Valdosta, which is about a 3-hour drive.
There you go.
And as I drove home, that's the one and only time that I almost fell asleep. And it was that thing. I woke up and the car was like veering onto the shoulder.
Oh God.
And I stopped about an hour away from home. And at 6 o'clock in the morning, I called my dad and said, "Hey, look, I'm not going to be at work. We're going to stay here," because he knew we were going to play a show.
Yeah.
But I definitely wasn't going to drive back, but we mostly did. And yeah, the whole like sleepy driving is worse than kind of drunk driving thing.
Yeah.
At that point was kind of true, because it was.
Yeah, that would have been bad.
It's like when you wake up and you're like, I was
Drive
driving.
the wheel. What happened?
Talk about making real life decisions and real world consequences. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't have a ton of most of the shows I played. I told you we have covers over the microphones we're talking to right now.
Yeah.
But I had one because I got some dude fucking pushed a mic into my mouth and it cracked my tooth.
Yeah. So now you have a chipped tooth because of it.
Yeah. And I'd have put these like microphone condoms on, but they're great. Like,
yeah.
They're like, I don't know, foam-ish.
Yeah, there's just a little foam to stop the.
But it works great.
The peas from popping.
Well, it does, but you don't have a proper like you normally in a studio you
have a sneeze guard. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a pea
spit
popper.
guard.
Yeah,
pea popper.
Yeah, but you don't have that here. But these are good for like.
No, we're doing this mobile, man. We did this on the road. Came to you.
Well, yeah, I guess technically, yes, you did it on the road. You came to me.
We're in Eraser Records. This was fun. We got to do this again.
Yeah, we can.
We should. We got to get into our disagreements about comedy stylings.
So we didn't.
We didn't do that this time.
No, we didn't.
But we will next time. We'll have you back on.
Okay.
Because Anderson and I have different perspectives on things.
Yep.
Not really different perspectives. I'm just a very pretentious asshole when it comes to comedy.
There's disagreements.
Sometimes you bring up an idea and I go, no, lowbrow. And before you even get the idea out, and you're just like, what the fuck does that even mean?
So we talked about a concept one time. And I said, hey, this is my thought process on this. But yeah, but it's not my bit. I'm not up there on stage with no distortion. I'm holding a fucking microphone in my mouth.
Yeah. We'll get into it next time.
Okay. I would never again do a stand-up. Couldn't do it.
You've been to a couple of my shows.
No, I've been to them.
No. But I was going to make the joke that when you came to the show, it was basically you were as drunk, if not drunker, than when you had performed that time.
Yeah, but
that
time was not that great.
I got off stage and you said, I can't remember anything you said, but I remember laughing, so that's good.
Yeah, I say a lot of things that are not great.
No, that was sweet. As long as you laugh, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
Where can everybody find all the stuff for the shop?
The best place to find it would be to not find it.
No?
It's fine. We're on Edgewood.
No, but I meant like all your social medias is all Eraser Records? At Eraser Records?
I think so. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah, it's fucking colder than a polar bear's toenails.
Oh, yeah, you turned your heater off.
Yeah, well, the bourbon's working.
Yeah. This is the first time I'd been in like a shady liquor store in 3 years since I got sober.
Yeah. Well, also, for whoever's listening, I didn't tell him to go.
I offered to go.
Yeah.
Because you said you wanted to drink whiskey on the podcast, and I got here and you had no
I
whiskey.
told him that at like whatever day that I had to be at work, and I was almost blackout before I got to work.
You texted me at 7 a.m, and I go, there's no way he's waking up texting me. Like, he hasn't gone to bed yet.
Yeah. It was more or less not waking up. And then he texts, and then we see each other 2 days later at work. He's like, we good for Friday? And it's Friday now. He texts me at, 11:30? So I'll be there in an hour. I said, fuck, really? I don't remember.
Yeah, you didn't text me back for a while. And then you just texted, sure.
Yeah, I'm not great at texting.
I was like, I hope he knows I'm coming. I know the shop's open, so I'm going to be up there.
It's fine. It's yeah, I'll take a microphone to the Dome. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to shy. At this point, I'm not shying away for anything. I'm not trying to defend anything.
No, I know.
Here it is.
This is fun, man. Again, Eraser Records, at Eraser Records on all social media. Come check it out at Murray Hill off of Edgewood. Brennan T. Comedy on all social media, BrennanTComedy.com. Thank you so much, everybody, and we'll talk to you again next week.